I'm tea.37 and this is another episode of Daily Tea. I've been absent for a few days, mainly because I was busy doing some promotional events for the Tea Crane and laying further contacts for the Farmer series on our website. As you may have seen, I've reformatted the tea collections a little bit, and I've made two separate series. So there's the Tea Crane series with the Tea Crane brand series, which I've named Soul Sense Favorites, and there's the Farmers collection. So what I'm planning on doing with the Farmers collection is to actually create a platform on which I can gather the tea from various small farmers and not just sell their tea on our homepage, but also to share their story with our customers. And through that way, I'm not only going to promote their naturally grown, organic, delicious teas to the West and into Japan, but I also want to create more awareness about what they're doing. And many of those small farmers are actually having difficulties with getting their tea, with getting it sold. They're producing it according to those traditional methods as they were practiced about, well, let's say 80, 90, 100, 200 years ago. And so contemporarily, a lot of focus is actually placed on the use of chemicals, chemical fertilizers, etc., which induces an unnatural flavor into the tea. And that is also why I believe that the tendency for the ideal of a tea having a lot of umami, savory flavor, which comes from a high value in amino acids, is only something that has started about 30 years ago. And to me, that is an unnatural tendency, because tea, when it's grown naturally, for example, take our teas that are produced in Nara, for example, our first flush selection this year is the same as well. When a tea is produced on a high mountain in a cold climate, then in order to withstand that cold, it has to generate and it has to adjust, and to adjust it generates natural sugars in its system, and those sugars will eventually get out into the leaf and give the tea a natural sweetness. And then by covering the tea leaf, it will additionally raise the amount of amino acids that will remain and are not transferred into catechins, which makes the tea bitter. So by covering it, you can keep the sweetness and the savory flavor of the tea at a certain level. Now, the amounts of amino acids and the really deep savoriness of some teas cannot be other than induced by using certain fertilizers, and I think that there's something chemical. There's only something chemical that can bring it to a high level as that. So I want to help those small producers of naturally produced organic teas, and as I may have said before, for my liking, they don't all have to be certified by a certifying body. because most of those small producers can just not afford to pay the high fees that such a certifying body actually charges in order to give them the certification. So through the tea crane, I'm going to help those small producers, and I'm going to make their tea more widely accessible, as well as sharing their stories and sharing the tradition and their belief behind the tea that they are making. And over time I will generally add more and more producers to the collection, and more stories. So it's more or less going to be a type of organic or naturally produced tea marketplace, and I hope that will interest you. Now for today I just have a quick example. I met a producer from Shiga Prefecture and in a city called Higashi Omi there's a little place that is called Mandokoro, and in that little place the producers still only do hand picking. All the teas are produced in a naturally way, using none to the least possible, and if they do, it's a natural type of fertilizer. And the fertilizers they use are either pampas grass or fallen leaves. And so it's not actually a fertilizer. It's the natural litter actually that is gathered and thrown back at the roots of the tea bush to then compose or decompose and be taken up by the tree as the tree's nutrition. Now, in some cases, they also use the remains of coal seeds, which are used to make what's that called again? Used to make. I have it here. Canola oil. So if you make canola oil, you use coal seed, and if you've extracted the oil, then there's remains of that coal seed, and it's those remains that are then thrown at the root, and that induces certain sweetness of flavor into the tea. But the tea that I have here, that I've received from this producer, is completely naturally produced. It doesn't have an organic certification because the farm is just too small in order to afford it, and so only pampas grass and fallen leaves were used as a fertilizer for this particular tea. It's written on the package as well. So it's a sencha, and the leaf is quite rough. I'm going to show it to you. And what is very interesting about this particular farm, actually, there's two things. One is that all the leaf is harvested by hand, and if you go to a place in Uji, for example, they'll tell you you have to do the top two or the top three leaves only, and nip it off using only the flesh of your fingers to twink the stem and gently pick the leaf. And what they do here is actually up until the fifth or the sixth leaf down, they grab around that part of the tree bush, the tree branch, and rip all the leaf off. And so they don't have the stem of it, they only have the leaf remaining, and that is what they then use to produce. Another thing is, generally, if you look at tea plantations in, for example, Uji, Kyoto, Shizuoka, you see long lanes of bushes. And it's easy to forget that those long lanes are actually created of 1 tree, 2 trees, 3 trees, and they're all trees that are lined up together, and eventually their branches will get clogged into each other. And the reason why it's in a long lane is because if you ride into it with a machine, you want one lane because you can go straight and they're all even. So it's very easy to harvest and mass produce. But initially, a tea bush is one little tree, one plant, and they're individual. So at this particular farm, if you look at a picture, there's a tree bush here, tree bush here, tree bush here, and they're all rounded little bushes that are just scattered out over the place. And this is called a natural composition of a tree farm. Those long lanes are not natural compositions, those are man-made, just only for the ease of harvesting. And I'm not saying that that is a totally bad thing, but it's great that this farm actually does that natural composition of a farm. And because it's naturally compositioned and it's all over the place, it's hardly impossible, well, it's actually just impossible to go in with a machine and do the harvesting. So that is why they actually have to do it all by hand. And that is where that specific gripping around the root of the branch about 5 or 6 leaves down, and then ripping all the leaves off that little twig. So I was really amazed when I heard about this farm by what the producer was telling me, and I hope I can go there sometime so I can make a video to show what it's actually like, and to have a good idea, because this, I think, is a really good example of what traditional tea producing is, what traditional tea farms looked like. And the same with this tea. This tea is produced according to those methods. This is a flavor of tradition, and I'm going to taste it now. I'm partially following the standards that were written on the package. I have taken 5 grams of tea leaf, but I'm a big fan of using hot water, like really boiled water on organic tea. So that's what I'm going to do, even though it's suggested to cool the water down to 60-70 degrees and then wait for about 3 minutes. I'm sure that this will give a very sweet flavor, but it's not really what I'm a big fan of. So I'm going to see what it does to this tea actually, brewing it with hot water. And I think, well, I'm just going ahead. So of course I'm not going to wait 3 minutes, because with hot water, if you wait 3 minutes, it's going to be probably very bitter. So I'm going to wait about, well, let's say 40 seconds. So to see what this tea will give. I'm really excited about, because that's really something I've been looking for. That tradition in tea production, that philosophy behind well, tea is a natural product, and we can go and mass produce it, but if we're drinking tea, we're drinking nature. We're drinking not just flavor that is included in the leaf. We're drinking what that location where the bush was grown was like. And in tea terminology, that is called terroir, and that's basically what type of soil the tree bush was planted upon, what height of the mountain that tea farm is located in, what temperature differences there are between day and night, and what basically how the weather is throughout the year in that specific location. And also this tea is I'm first going to pour it out before I forget it and it gets too bitter. Well, I'm not sure if it gets bitter. So yes, the location where this tea was produced is also in the mountains, also quite high, and there's great temperature differences, and the winters are cold too here. So that makes for, I think, a sweeter leaf, and a more robust flavor. Oh, that looks pretty. Very fresh. This is, not sure if you're able to see it very well. This is the leaf after it's infused for the first time. What I've actually forgotten to say is that this leaf is from. Usually you have different cultivars. I offer Okamidori. I offer a native cultivar from Nara on the website in the Tea Crane series, and this is from the native cultivar of this particular place in Shiga Prefecture. And now, what does a native cultivar actually mean? A native cultivar is basically a non-cultivar. It's not a cultivar. It's a tree bush that has been there ever since man has known. Well, not that long. Ever since the locals there have known. And from before cultivars actually came into play. Because cultivars are also somewhat manipulated. Alright, let's try it. It smells quite fresh and it's got a little bit of a spicy scent to it. But it's really gentle, and as I was expecting, it's got quite a lot of sweetness that really comes is present on the back of the tongue after you've swallowed, and I think that's quite specific for a tea that's grown in a colder climate, especially this kind of sencha green tea. And yeah, there's really something spicy to it too, something nutmeg-like, and like a freshness from. I wouldn't really say that it's exactly citrus, but it comes quite near. The experience is quite similar in the experience of the freshness in the mouth that lingers is quite similar to what you get with citrus. That's really a genuine flavor, I have to say. It's not too complex. It's very good for a green tea, for a sencha, and that spiciness on the tongue is very interesting. And then of course it's quite full. The aftertaste is quite full, and it lingers quite a while. So It's very nice to enjoy. And then there's of course also the experience that you get from drinking a tea like this, because it's really like if I would be eating the tea leaf fresh, just picked of the branch. So yeah, it's really a taste of nature. Mm. Well, I'm sure that you'll be hearing more about this tea and this specific producer, because I'm really interested in what they're doing, and really interested in helping them, getting word out about their production methods and the tea they're making. So yeah, thank you for watching today's episode, and stay tuned for more updates on other producers. On if I get a chance to visit this farm, I'll be updating too, and I'll be also doing some brewing videos in the coming days. So check out the ones we had before already, and I hope you'll be looking forward to the upcoming brewing videos. So thank you for watching again, and see you on the next episode of Daily Tea. Goodbye. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Then you'll be sure you won't miss any of our episodes, and you won't be missing any very interesting information. So see you on the next episode. Goodbye.